I myself, ArunKumar Krishna, founder of AS13.ai. Today we have Sathish Veerapandian, my longtime friend, colleague that we worked back in the day 2017, I guess, 6 to 8 years. Being a MVP of Microsoft for 10 years, that's a big achievement. But I know Satish as almost, the hardcore Microsoft guy. Anything Microsoft, reach out to him, right? You can follow him on LinkedIn, or he has a dedicated YouTube channel, and he also runs another website blog, I think easycloud.info. Do check out extensive technical articles, but amazing human being. I've had a privilege to work with him for almost 2 to 3 years, but remained in connection longer. So welcome, Satish.
Hi Arun, thank you for inviting me to this, and it's very nice to see you after quite a long time. And I'm very happy that you have finally started a startup company and then doing good in that. Yeah, to the audience, myself and Arun, we have worked back in a place. It was Smart Dubai, now it is called Digital Dubai, where
Yeah.
we have learned a lot. It has taught us everything about from in and outs of the Microsoft products, as well as how to deal with the security stuff. Yeah, we feel that like one of the most important part of the career for us.
Yeah.
So
I think
time
one of, yeah, go ahead, Satish.
Yeah, so like myself and Arun have closely collaborated because I was in the messaging and collaboration part. Because when we talk about Smart Dubai, the one common statement they say is like, if you work in Smart Dubai, now it is called Digital Dubai. If you work in Digital Dubai for like at least 2 years, you can survive in any part of the world. Because you will technically grow from this level to very top because you get an opportunity to explore everything, and you will also learn how to handle the escalations and the professionally how to deal with the people. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So one I was saying in one of my previous episodes is we are here because of the experiences that we had the opportunity to learn, right? From this past experiences, whether they are difficult situation or enjoyable situations, but we got through, kind of molded into these professional, experienced guys that we, you know, get through those situations. Definitely, that's an experience. Yeah, my horizon also expanded because before uh, we worked together, I was more like, let's call it a tool guy, but became a complete professional cybersecurity guys in that company where we were able to grow holistically. And one of the things that I would like, uh, the audiences or the listeners to know is, about your journey, Satish. You've been almost close to 2 decades, but what originally drew you into technology? I ask this question because most of us in India, we don't have any other option other than becoming software engineers, right? Was it intentional or accidental that you entered into IT, picked up Microsoft, and been an MVP for this long?
Yeah, that's a good question. What I would start is like, of course, like if it, I have been into the industry for almost 18 years. So how did I start is like for implementing, the patch paneling, doing the LAN cabling stuff for the bank back in India. I was doing that, and then later I moved to the Microsoft stack where I was supporting the Microsoft vendors. I was supporting the Microsoft professional queue. I was doing basically any professional support cases opened that lands into the Microsoft vendor queue, and then I look into the Exchange and the Microsoft Link stuff. That was during the time I was also doing some certificates that drive me more interest and passion towards like there are a lot of opportunities. Yeah, because back in those days we were not having cloud. They were completely on-premise infrastructure where we were completely deeply rooted into that. We spent our days managing servers, patching the systems, troubleshooting hardware, and maintaining the data centers. So but then still I was fully focused only on to the messaging and collaboration area. After completing the certification, then I got an opportunity to explore the path of the Microsoft MVP. gave me a visibility to write blogs for 1 year, and then it was back in 2014. After a continuous contribution of 1 year, they awarded me the Microsoft MVP for the category Exchange Server. And later, I was looking for opportunity. Then I was hired by, yeah, Digital Dubai, and then I got more opportunity to explore areas outside of the messaging and collaboration. Like for example, how a data center works, like how the backups are taken, like how the networks are configured, and of course a lot of challenging debates with Arun as well. Whenever a security incident comes, like how he handles it, how he does the SIM configuration. It was really a lot of learning I have done with Arun as well. So that gave
Okay.
me a lot of opportunity to be passionate into the Microsoft products. Yeah.
But Satish, sticking to your journey, like you have worked across government, real estate, cyber security, right? How are these challenges? Are they same challenges or do they differ when you move across industries?
Yeah, that's a very good question. When we talk about you know the different industries, only the process and procedures change. But if you talk about the tradition that they have moved, like 10 years ago, most of the organization were still deeply into the on-premise infrastructure. So that was the case. But if you talk about since 2015, a lot of the organizations started, entering into the Microsoft cloud and adopting the cloud cultures, like exploring the opportunities in the Microsoft 365, the AWS, the Google Cloud, Azure, whatever you call it. And then what they started uh, exploring the opportunity, that's when the challenge came in, like how to do the transition. So this transition period was happening based on the organization's development and operations around it. Like for example, there were a lot of organizations which had a proper automation in place already in their on-premise. So organizations like that, like for example, if they have a proper automation capabilities already enforced in tools like PowerShell or Python, they were able to bring that into the CI/CD pipelines and yeah, infrastructure as a code for the cloud platforms. So if you talk about the organization difference, for example, if you talk about any IT organization, they work in a very rapid methodology. They would be able to adopt it quickly. But if you talk about heavily regulated organizations like financial institutions, they have a lot of processes around it because they need to adhere to the processes. That's as a result of that. They have to adopt, in order to adopt a technology, they need to go through a lot of risk and security frameworks. Only then they'll be able to adopt a policy. So that's the difference I see between different organizations,
Industries.
industries.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Cool. Now let's move on to the, let's say, evergreen field of cloud and cybersecurity, because cloud was kind of booming in, as you mentioned, 2015, 2017 and all. But still now they don't stop adding services. So it just keeps growing and growing. I don't know if there is a pause button for cloud innovation that happens. But coming to the cloud, you have been part of global CISO teams, right?
Yeah.
What was your experience when you were part of global CISO teams? How do they manage, let's say, their cloud technologies or the problems that they face in terms of cybersecurity?
Yeah, that's a good question because whenever we talk about the hybrid work revolution, because currently any organization, almost every organization is into the hybrid work revolution. You cannot say like every organization is completely into the cloud or they are completely into the on-premise. It's really difficult. So in this hybrid work revolution, uh, obviously you should see a lot of challenges in this modern workplace because everything is exposed in the internet, so you need to protect your applications in the concept of zero trust, because the zero trust was heavily adopted only when things moved out of your on premise. So like have trust on uh, your application and don't have trust on your the location from where everything is accessed. So as a result of that, mostly what we see is like we need to see like how do we run IT efficiently, and also how do we run your services in a more secure way. So that's the more important part. Like from the CISO perspective, we see like people are ready to accept the new changes, but often they forget about the security and compliance around it. So
Yeah.
that's where you have a lot of offerings from the Microsoft ecosystem itself, which is left unmonitored, which is not utilized. So those kind of stuff would be definitely uh, be enabled, or those kind of stuff would be able to help only from the security guys. Like every organization is having a CISO department, but obviously most of the organizations thinks the security guys as a cost center. Definitely, we are not a cost center. We definitely help in enabling, the better security and compliance around your products, and that will also eventually help in dealing with your audits, legal, and all the certifications. Because the ISO certifications are also very important for heavily
Yeah.
regulated.
Yeah, especially around banks, healthcare, fintech industries, regulation is the final say, right? You don't negotiate with that; you just follow it through, because any violation in those ends up paying a fine or a reputation damage that can lead into loss of revenue. There is always that question of, hey, security has been a passive investment. You can't get a return on investment. Yeah, you are getting return, but not getting, fined. That is a return. And
Yeah.
yeah.
And also another one part I wanted to highlight, very important, because right now we are entering into the era of artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
So people are trying to utilize the artificial intelligence and improve their automation or improve the process everywhere. But we also need to be very sure of like how you're building your compliance and regulation around this artificial intelligence. That's a very important part, because uh, you also need to be very sure like the data, whatever you're giving to the artificial intelligence or the agents, is having the right data, and where it is processing, where it is storing. All these kind of information are very important, so that you build you know a proper artificial intelligence platform for your organization.
Yep, yep. See, you touched the really good point. No podcast is ending without artificial intelligence, right? Because it's everywhere. See, I saw this Copilot being aggressive, right? Microsoft Copilot across all platforms. Have you got a chance to use it? How is your experience? How do you see it adding, value to the users?
Yeah, like definitely you could see the Copilot in two angles. Like from the user perspective, definitely it is going to improve the productivity, because you could do a lot of things that would help in improving your day-to-day activities. Like for example, summarizing your meeting chats with the Copilot, and then drafting an email, summarizing the email,
Yep.
long well conversations, whatever you have received. These things are definitely improving the productivity for your audience, for your end users. But if you talk about the real use case of security Copilot, let's talk about the real use case of
Hmm.
security Copilot. Let's talk about the scenario of the data loss prevention. Like what is the detection mechanism, like what is the proactive detection mechanism you have right now in the Microsoft Security Copilot? Yeah, it is partially solving a lot of use cases, like what you can do with a DSPM for AI in the Microsoft Purview. But it's not completely, covering all the aspects of how to have a complete um structure of preventing the data sharing by your employees. For example, let's take a classic scenario. Uh, a vendor is sharing a Google Sheet with one of your employee in the organization. That particular Google Sheet is completely managed and handled by the vendor. Let's say if your
Hmm.
employee is pasting a sensitive information on the Google Sheet, you don't have any control. So in these kind of channels, you need to have a better detection mechanisms, or a better thought process on improving the agents, the a better artificial intelligence agents that could really help in improving the security posture with these technologies.
Nice, nice. See, one more thing I want to touch on this cloud and security because see, Microsoft until 2016, 2017, nobody considered it as security company, right? Then eventually Defender got its breakthrough and became a leader. Then the suite of security products like email gateway or even Sentinel acquisitions and the whole suite of Microsoft ecosystem package with a security add-on came into the market. Now they are almost, I don't know, last time I checked, they were making 20 billion from security, right?
Yeah.
Alone. What do you think? There is still a misconception about Microsoft 365 or Azure that you commonly see people, let's say, who are not familiar with Microsoft 365. What do they assume, like, commonly mistaken or misconceived about uh, Microsoft 365 or Azure?
Yeah, that's a very good question because you see, when we talk about the Microsoft 365 suite, it comes with a separate set of capabilities and also it has the security stack around it. The same thing if you talk about Azure, yeah, it's completely a different ecosystem. It's altogether a completely a different beast, where you could do a lot of stuff within your Azure subscription. So if you talk about the capabilities that is coming around the Microsoft 365 itself, let's take a classic example of Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps. With the Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps, you have the capability to connect to your Azure subscription and
Hmm.
monitor your for example, the DLP activities that could happen, and you could have a proper DLP mechanisms around it. So these kind of offerings are already present in the Microsoft 365 ecosystem, which you can eventually effectively utilize in the Microsoft Azure platforms and see the benefits. So these are the things which you can do a comparison. Of course, these two are different platforms, but at some times you see an opportunity to utilize the features that's already available in the Microsoft
Yeah.
360. For example, if you talk about the options that you have in the Microsoft Purview, you could definitely utilize those options for your workloads which is running on the Azure, or even
Azure.
for example, a SaaS application. So the best part is like you need to effectively utilize them so you're not doing an over investment on your existing infrastructure or on your licensing.
Yeah, see, one of the common themes that I've seen across the industry is Microsoft has this, strength over E5 license, right? I've always seen customer are underutilizing it because it offers them so much. They even are not utilizing. It offers, probably access to Sentinel, DLP, Purview, Intunes, right? Defender, XDR, and the most underutilized that I have seen is Defender for apps, right? Because now I think they have Defender for cloud also, but because that apps provides so much what they call SASE capabilities where you can connect all your SaaS application into it. Most of the customers don't even know that they have license is one thing. The other thing is they are not even bothered to look into and enable it because I've consulted a few of the projects where we did, hey, you are paying to another SIM where you can leverage Sentinel. Because if you want to monitor what I've seen from my background in SIM and implementations, right? SIM is a monster when it comes to implementation. You have to talk to too many technologies. One thing I liked about Sentinel was, integration with M365 and Azure. Couple of clicks, you are done. You have all your data into Sentinel, right? So that was amazing because if you take any other SIM technology, they don't have such capabilities because one, they are not natively tied to each other. So Microsoft ecosystem on that cloud infra exchange, Entra ID, right? It's just couple of policies on Sentinel. If you have portal admin, you can just roll it across in a day and you start seeing the value from the day two, right? I was amazed. Until that, I was always, thinking twice about, is Sentinel up to the mark? But if you are a whole infra is on, Microsoft ecosystem, Sentinel is a no-brainer because it just makes your life so easy with the native integrations. I was blown away from it when I first tried out.
Yeah, that's a valid point because if you talk about the Microsoft 365 E5, it's really a powerful capability.
Yeah.
It brings a lot of powerful capabilities around the data loss prevention that's coming in the Microsoft purview. Um, that would definitely help. And also, for example, if you talk about the Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps, it brings a lot of CASB functionalities which you can utilize it to monitor what kind of applications are being utilized in your organization, and have a proper sanitization around it by approving, sanctioning, unsanctioning those apps. You have a lot, but it's not been utilized by most of the
Yeah.
organizations.
Yeah, true. So that was something that I would call it as a misconception. If you have a E5, go and check what all the things that you are missing out on, right? If anybody in the audience or anybody in the industry who has an E5 license of Microsoft, there is a lot more cost savings that you can do by replacing other technologies, because there is so much in E5. Probably you will need some time to go through it and implement those stuff, because it's what most organizations need to have their posture improved in terms of capabilities, especially around security, because there is too much stuff there. Intune, MDM, Sentinel, you get SIM solution, Defender, you get EDR with CASB, cloud apps, right? Purview, DLP. Like previously, it was a five vendor job, five contracts, dealing with five resellers, implementation, five implementation. Now you don't need you just need a capable Microsoft partner to execute, because that is one of the biggest plus point, that even if I see any new client who are starting from scratch, I'll say go to Microsoft. You have a lot less headache to deal with, because even some people complain price might be higher, you will eventually see the value, because it's easy to deal with one vendor rather than five vendor. Anybody in security will say that, because it's a nightmare when you're dealing with contract licenses, limitation, renewals, negotiations. The amount of effort that you invest, it's just taking your time out of the business and wasting on unnecessary stuff, because most of the security people are already crunched for time, right? In terms of execution of what they want to do, and there is so much to do with such little time. In that, you are talking to five different contractors, it will just kill their time. So that's what I advise. Even when I meet somebody that we don't have anything on security, we want to go to SOC 2 or ISO, I say go get Microsoft E5. It's much more easier for you to navigate through SOC 2 or any compliance for that matter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. So, like, what I want to say, this is the transformation we see. Like, probably, in the next 5 years, we can see a lot of major transformation. Like, for example, we will see a lot of AI-driven governance and ethics. Like, even for
Yes.
example, when we talk about Microsoft Purview, we have the DSPM for AI. You have the security Copilot for AI. So these kind of stuff, they would be in a better transformation with a proper use case which you could effectively use them. So the challenge for all of us in this is to keep learning, sharing, and keep leading this change responsibility. Because if you talk about the journey that we were doing past 10 years before, everyone, we were focusing on the on-premise products and trying to build compliance and security around it. But now we have rapidly moved towards the cloud. From the cloud, we are effectively looking for use case for the AI-driven use cases and utilizing them. So we see, like, let's see how this would go in the next 5 years, and hopefully, definitely this AI-driven approach would help us in improving all of the operations, the security, compliance, and also the productivity.
Yeah, yeah. It's an amazing time, especially with the AI, how things are going to evolve. It's just wait and watch. Definitely, I can't predict. I don't predict, right? Because things change, right? 2 years ago, it was chatbots. 1 year ago, it was, what they call MCP servers. Now it's agentic AI. I don't know what's next. I don't get into prediction games, because I don't know what these guys are working on, especially the big AI companies, right? Because I don't even understand. I was saying the same thing about in one of the previous podcasts. When can people actually implement this stuff, right? E- 2 years ago, it was chatbots. 1 year ago, it was MCP servers. Now it's agentic AI. Like, yeah, innovation is happening, but where is the actual execution? right? There is very little time for people to adapt. I don't know how business are keeping up with it. We are building another AI product. That's another story for another day. But there is a lot of areas, lot of opportunities that people can, come up with solutions with the evolution, whatever happened with the AI, right? But interesting times.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
one thing, yeah,
yeah.
good, good.
No, this is like I would say this would be a story of evolution through empowerment. So it's like
Yes.
it's only like we all need to keep sharing knowledge and see like what is the benefits of utilizing the AI.
Yeah.
And if you definitely see a one good use case, then it could be shared to the community and probably it can also be utilized.
See, one of the things I started this podcasting series is, one, I've started my business. Second is to reconnect with experts like you, because when we speak, there is a lot of this undocumented knowledge that comes out, right? In terms of what you said, purview, DSPM, AI capabilities, evolving things. When I was growing up, I thought there is no problem to solve. When I was in college or when I was starting my career, I was like, hey, everything is there. What should I do? Right now, I see everything is a problem. I don't have time to fix it, right? Because I understand how many problems are in tech world, you know, all those sort of stuff, but I don't have time. So this is one of the ways that I plan to educate people who are planning to start something. There is enough problems and growing number of problems in the world that they can come up. Start with AI. People are still figuring out. Nobody is perfect at it. Not even ChatGPT, right? They are innovating. They are trying to come up with new things. So there is always areas that you can contribute and grow. It's never short of problems. There is always another problem that you can solve. Just pick up one, stick to it. You can come up with solution.
Yeah.
Yeah. Digging more on your Microsoft ecosystem and technical expertise, right? So, how has been the journey of 10 years? I think yearly you have a MVP, catch-up events. How do you contribute? Any of our listeners want to, aspire to be an MVP. What
Okay.
advice do you have, for them to guide into that journey?
Okay. That's a very good question because I'm also looking to empower people, especially to be part of the program of the MVP as well as on the MCT program. So if you talk about me, like yeah, I started back in the year 2013. Started blogging.
Wow.
So the main requirement for the MVP program is like you need to be quantitative and qualitative on the products, the Microsoft product that you are passionate about. Like let's say if you're picking any one of the product in Tune, then you need to start blogging around it on qualitative and quantitative. It's not something repetitive. It's not something cloned from a different website or from a different video. You can write about the same product, but it should be on your own opinion and what's your feeling about that particular feature or functionality from the product. So this is what you need to do for a continuous period of 12 months, and then if you have a qualitative amount of contribution, the contribution could be in terms of blogging, in terms of podcast, in terms of training, or even writing, co-authoring a book as well. So when you have collected enough amount of the technical contributions, then you could submit it by reaching out and already existing MVP. They could nominate for you in the program, and after that, they would go for the evaluation for a period of 3 months, and after that, they would let you know if you are awarded in the category of your contribution. So this is talking about being in the program. I've been in the program for the past 11 years. Uh, I would definitely say this adds a lot of value in terms of improving your knowledge. How
Yeah.
does adds value in terms of improving knowledge? Because you get connected with the like-minded people who are interested in the technology where you're focusing, and then you share a lot of ideas about what is the real-time challenges that you face, especially in terms of implementation, and then you get the feedback from them. That's one thing, and then you second part is like you have an opportunity to closely interact with the Microsoft product group, where you have an option to feedback about the product, and then they will also give you access to few of the unreleased features and functionalities that you could test and feedback them. So it's like something you are in early development of a product or on a service that Microsoft is already working. And of course, like once in every year, they invite you to MVP Summit. There, definitely, it is hosted in the Microsoft Seattle campus. That's one of the best places, like where you could go and meet a lot of people directly from the product group, and then discuss your ideas, get their new ideas. So there's an exchange of knowledge, information that's happening over there. That would definitely help in improving your knowledge, and also, for example, if you're working on a critical project. Where you have a roadblock, you can discuss with them, and the feedback you receive from them that can also help them and help you in improving your implementation. So this
Yeah,
is really a nice program, and if anyone is interested, feel free to reach me via LinkedIn or my email address in my website. Then I can definitely give you more information about this program.
yeah, definitely. Seems like an amazing opportunity. Plus, what I've seen is having that Microsoft MVP tag gives you credibility, that you know your stuff. And that's an amazing opportunity that, very few people have. Congrats and kudos to you for having it for 11 years. Amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. See, I know you have worked in hybrid setups of identity and staying on the tech topic, right? What do you think the future of identity and access management? There is cloud, multi-cloud, hybrid, like where is it going? Because identity is everywhere now.
Yeah, if you talk about the future of the identity, like for me, it's like the passwordless authentication, because that's the
Mm.
most of the focus that's right now done by every the cloud providers. Because earlier it's like something when you talk about having the passwords, yeah, in the old days they felt it was better, and then the next thing is like having the modern authentication, they felt it's better, but now having no passwords is better. So if you talk about FIDO, the one of the best industry standards that's supporting the W3C web authentication for the passwordless part, uh, those kind of things are going to be more facilitated from all the cloud providers and the SaaS offerings in the future. Because if you talk about the W3 web authentication, they function definitely in the method of passwordless. They have more secure methodologies, and then like even they have integration with your TPMs, so you don't have
Yeah.
opportunity to no one adversary. It's very difficult, or it's nearly impossible for an adversary to target your credentials or compromise your account. And of course the passkeys, which is offered from Microsoft, that is also one of the best opportunities. um, that will be the path taken by most of the organization. Even if you talk about the verifiable credentials, that's one of the classic example which we can talk about, because the verifiable credentials is one of a very good feature offering coming from Microsoft. uh, Most of the organization are not aware of, because or they're not having a
Yeah.
proper case or an example how to utilize it. Because if you talk about verified credentials, you could simply send a laptop to a new joinee who is present in any part of the world, and then you can verify his credential with a government issued ID. So you no need to send the credentials over an email or pass on the credentials over a phone call. You don't need to do anything. With the verified credentials, with the government issued credentials, with the government issued ID, they would be able to successfully open their laptops, onboard into your organization environment. So this is, these kind of things would be improved better in future in terms of identity, going passwordless, having more strong bulletproof without compromising any of the credentials. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I need to read about it more. I think that sounds interesting, having government ID issued laptop because probably you know this, right? There was this whole security buzz around North Korean hackers imitating employees, remote workers, and getting into companies to steal source code or whatever their intentions are. But this kind of, puts at least a difficulty in at least you need to validate with a government legit ID, right? Especially for the remote work, I think that's a big plus. We're dealing with remote work based cybersecurity teams because it has its own challenges in terms of protecting users, but definitely that's a big plus. One thing I wanted to ask on the Microsoft Teams, right? I have one funny story. I just want to know, do you have any post-pandemic or pre-pandemic? That is the era that we are classifying now, post and pre, right? Teams. Have you seen any funny stories around Teams? Because I'll explain one. So we had an incident. Okay, one of the customers said somebody has taken over my Teams. Okay, so we investigated thoroughly. We are trying to see the customer is speaking and somebody is typing in English on his Teams. Okay, chat. Okay, and he's saying, "Hey, somebody has taken control over my Teams." When we what eventually saw was Teams has a feature called transcribe,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Transcribe your meeting. So whatever he's speaking, it's trying to decode his language and write it in English, but it is not doing a good job. It was very early days at that time, transcribe features, right? So this customer panic, the whole security team is onboarded. There is an incident response team that is going on. You can talk to Moesh. Moesh was part of that incident also. So we were, full investigation mode, investigating, this. We are talking, it is transcribing. Uh, the customer is talking, he is transcribing. The participant on the opposite side of Teams call is talking, it is transcribing. Everybody is paranoid, things are going haywire. What is happening? Who has taken control? Block his account. But eventually, what we realized was the transcribe feature was on. It was just typing in whatever it understood. But that was the funny realization. But that's how when you said people are not aware about the features that are launching. This is how they discover new features, right? And that was a funny story that I couldn't forget. For a long time because until then everybody were, hey, it's a hacker. Somebody has taken over control. He's trying to send some messages. Then eventually it was just a Teams a transcribe feature, but it would have been a lot worse if the what we assumed was true.
Yeah, because if we especially talk about the Microsoft Teams pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, um, especially during the COVID times, you see there was a very rapid transformation by most of the
Yeah.
organization moving from Skype to Teams. So, yeah, during those times, you
I
may have
I
experienced.
remember the countless nights and days that you spent migrating users to Teams and
Yeah,
cloud.
yeah, that was one of the that was one of the most interesting project that I was doing. And also I remember, like, I wrote one script during that time, to successfully migrate more, like more than like 2000 users at one time, not to do the session time mode. So even my
Yeah.
script was used everywhere. I could remember. So if you talk about during that time, because the challenge with the Teams was, like, you see a lot of a major difference from Skype to Teams, because Skype was just a purely VoIP. You don't have anything around. But if you talk about Microsoft Teams, it is a Microsoft 365 group mailbox. On top of that, you have chat, you have Teams, you have OneDrive, and then you have the chat functionality and you have the voice functionality. It is a very powerful beast. So if this solution is being given to the end users without a proper user training or user awareness program, they will not be able to utilize it fully. One, or they would come up with some kind of a panic situation, like what you explained a few minutes back.
Yeah.
It's a very powerful tool. It can be utilized very well, but it needs to have a proper training around it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, see, one of the things I want your suggestion also because a lot of people, especially reach out to you also, especially in India, people want to gain industry experience or certifications to gain knowledge and credibility, right? I often ask them, hey, are you a coder or not? If you are not coder, go get Microsoft, right? Because one, Microsoft has this huge enterprise accounts. They are, the number one if you are, if I'm not wrong in terms of having enterprise softwares, right? So what would you suggest, if somebody wants to enter Microsoft ecosystem, where would they start?
Yeah, so that's a good question. It depends on like what is their area of interest. Like for example, if they are looking into to career as a data analyst, or if they're looking career as an admin or a developer. So in this scenario, like for example, let's take a scenario they want to become an admin. So again, there are two things, like they wanted to become
Cloud.
more focused on the Office 365 side, or on the security side, or on the Azure. We have a lot of stacks, so it depends on like if I like I would definitely suggest them to start with Azure fundamentals first. So the Azure fundamentals gives them a flavor and ingredients of what are the options that's available in the Microsoft ecosystem, and then they can eventually choose the Office 365, or the Microsoft uh, uh, Azure specifically, so they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened. I had to restart studio, but that's fine. Let me change.
ஓகே. ஓகே பஸ், நானும் ஆக்சுவலா கிளம்பணும். எனக்கு 5:00 போய் நான் டாக்டர நான் டிராப் பண்ணணும்.
அப்படியா? ஓகே.
பஸ் ஐ திங்க் இது உங்களுக்கு கன்டென்ட் போதும்னு நினைக்கிறேன். இதுக்கப்புறம் வேணும்னா கூட நம்ம
ஜஸ்ட்
அப்புறம்
அஃபிஷியலா எண்ட் பண்ணிடலாம். லெட் மீ சேஞ்ச். ஒன் செகண்ட். இப்போ சேஞ்ச் பண்ண முடியுமா? I'll ask my team to change the background. No worries. So,
ஓகே.
just to end, see, one question I wanted to ask personally also, right? See, you're a huge community contributor in terms of YouTube, having the cloud, and also doing a full-time job. Like, what makes you motivated to contribute and give back to the community?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because it depends on like how passionate you're working, and how passionate you are looking into the particular technology. For example, if you talk about if you are interested in Microsoft products, and if you are interested in Microsoft security, I would suggest to explore what are the options that's available in the Microsoft security ecosystem, and see what is the current challenges and problem that's faced by most of the organization. If you see there is a very good use case which is not been shared to the public, I would highly suggest and recommend to do it as a blog or do it as a video. That could definitely help people and organizations to pick that. And that's like if you get one thumbs up from a people in the community, that will give you motivation to for the next blog or the video. So that's what I would suggest. Focus on one
Yeah.
of the technology in the Microsoft ecosystem and start contributing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing, amazing. Always giving back to community is kind of motivating. So, Satish, one thing that I would request all the audiences who are listening also go visit his blog. He has amazing technical content on YouTube. Sometimes I do refer to, right? Because he is a purely tech guy who is a Microsoft expert, if I may call, right? You can visit his website. You can check out his YouTube channel also, because that's something, a treasure trove of information that I can see you yourself growing through that journey in that Microsoft videos. But one more thing, appreciate your time. Thanks for doing this. And I'd like to speak to you probably once more. I'm planning to have a roundtable conference with all the audiences, give them a problem, because one of the different experiences, how people solve, kind of, ignites the spark in each other, kind of how differently, you can solve problems. So probably I'll invite you to that one also. Thank you, Satish. I think it's been a pleasure. Happy to reconnect and happy to stay in touch. Again, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It was nice talking to you, Arun, and talk to you soon in the next podcast. Yeah.